Let us now invite Mr. Matthew Norman, Lighting Design Manager, Baseline Lighting Design Studio, to come on stage, please. Mr. Norman, please.
Good afternoon. There I go. Hi, my name is Matthew Norman. I'm the Lighting Design Manager at Baseline. And today I just want to talk to you today about our particular experience in retail. We're absolute leaders in the field. We're represented by all of the major retail luxury brands here in Hong Kong. You've definitely seen our work before. We're also, and while we're going to be talking mostly about retail today, we're also leaders in hospitality. You'll see us a lot in Southeast Asia as well. So I think a lot of the principles here will be applying to there as well. So just a quick review of the overall trends in terms of the requests that we're getting in. Of course, our clients are going to be asking about many of the same things over and over, but we're finding that they're requesting much more specific, pointed things than before. So, Dr. Ip, I think we've got good news. I think you're making a really good effort and things are changing because the requests that we're getting are very much in line with the requests and the goals of like the Hong Kong Building Council for sure. So of course we need things like LEED, BEAM. They're really concerned about national codes. Our clients are becoming much more sophisticated. They understand and desire these things. Also, at the same time, the locations, the buildings that our clients are building in, our landlords, they have their own requirements that might be different or might be above and beyond everything else. And of course, interior designers as well. They have their own thoughts and needs. We've been showing them LEDs over the years. They really want to make sure that we've got all of these fantastic, tiny little features, lights. We can embed the lights everywhere. It's very exciting. And I like that too, but we'll get to that. And then on the client side, we've got lower fixture costs, of course. We've got traceability. That's something that's going to become more and more important. Sustainability, we're finally getting the message across that sustainability is not just green design, it's not just higher efficacy, it's actually about telling a story and understanding where products are coming from, how they're manufactured, and how they're transported to site. And then also something that's going to be a little bit of a surprise, they want much more replaceable modular units as well, which is quite surprising because previously everybody wanted sort of an all-in-one thing that did everything. So we'll come back to that. So just a quick summary of where everybody is. Clients are becoming more knowledgeable about the technical aspects of sustainability with regards to lighting. They are getting the message, so everybody give yourself a little pat on the back for that. It's happening. They expect sophisticated, integrated solutions. So, we saw that earlier today. Pete's delivering on that wherever he is right now. The clients expect it, and they desire it, and they're appreciative of it. If you can bring it, they're happy. And this is something that drives all of the trends that we're seeing in retail today. So, code trends. Now, this isn't a bad thing, right? We're losing a few watts per square meter every few years, right? The guidelines are becoming much more strict, as they should be, because as technology advances, we need to be there. So we have, the basic standards that we see in ASHRAE, EMSD, and like local building codes, but then we also see the pressure from voluntary green building associations that really bring up the knowledge of our clients. So we don't find ourselves fighting to get sustainability to be in the front line. Our partners are there and they're really helping it bring that. So I think maybe retail might be a little bit unique in that point of view, because for our clients, sustainability is part of their brand story. So things are happening there, and it's good stuff. So just to talk about those codes, we're losing a few watts per square meter, but we can also sort of balance that by more sophisticated codes. So while we have fewer and fewer watts per square meter, what we can do is compensate that by making sure that, okay, this is how much wattage we've got installed, but we are dimming that. We are changing the scenes. We are actually being able to take advantage of sort of technical changes, and especially in terms of dimming and control, that wasn't there previously. And then on the flip side of that, on landlord sides of things, where people need to make sure that we've got accountability, they just want a bottom line of, okay, you're never going to go above these many watts per square meter. You need to hit this. So, you know, the regulations give and they take away. And of course, brands have their own internal requirements as well. This one's actually quite old in terms of one of our clients. This is their internal work. They've since moved everything over by about 25%. But this is something that we have been working towards for a long time and working with. You know, the LPD here is all in. You know, this is something that, you know, it's actually kind of challenging when you take in all of the decorative work, all of the graphic panels, all of these enormous displays, right? They emit light. Well, our landlords think that's a lighting fixture. Deal with it. Bless them. And so, you know, that's been a really good challenge, but it's really helped force everybody along. So that's a really great thing. And the other thing we should look about here is that the clients are tying both increased performance and increased quality together in terms of their internal goals, which are quite challenging to meet simultaneously. So they're putting themselves in a position where they need to talk to us about, okay, exactly where do we thread the needle here? Because it's pretty hard to get 10 watts per square meter at 95 CRI. But they want to do it, and that's really great, because we can have a conversation about that. And it's the conversation that I think is going to be sort of more and more to the front as we go along. So quick summary here. We've got more spaces. More spaces require controls to meet their sustainability compliance, because those sustainability compliance is more complex. They require controls and dimming to actually like fit within the limits. But you know, that also means that we can provide a much more sophisticated interior space, because they're going to require dimming controls. We can take advantage of that. It's an opportunity. You know, we used to be able to only worry about sort of architectural downlights. Not anymore. Everything counts now. So we're starting to work with interior designers. The limits are forcing collaboration much earlier in the process. So again, you know, the integrated design and the integrated design process is starting to happen, and it's being forced, thankfully, by all of these regulations. And then, of course, client standards, the lighting quality is going up. They have better taste. They understand that the quality of light is extremely important. They're going to be investing in it. They want all of their product to be looking the absolute best, so they're going to be there for that. And so that's another thing that we get requested right off the bat. Okay, quick thing in product trends. Again, we've got higher efficacy, but and the higher efficacy and CRI are trending upwards, but they're not quite to where the client demands are being met yet. But you know, now in the last couple of years, we've been getting 110 lumens per watt off of a COB, which is really great. But you know, to really make sure that we can actually hit our client requirements, we would really like to get like 120 watts off the COB at 2700. So if there's any if there's any like LED chip manufacturers here today, I think there might be. This is something that we would really need to see. One thing that we're also getting to see is clients are asking for simpler fixtures. They want something that's basically, you know, less integrated. They don't want to come into a place, you know, put everything in the ceiling. They have a new concept, or they have, you know, a new merchandising idea, and then we have to tell them, oh, I'm sorry, nothing in your fixture is replaceable. You need to like rip it all out, which does happen from time to time. And you know, that's not sustainable, right? We've got all of these fixtures in the ceiling, and we can't reuse them. That's crazy. So fixtures that are replaceable, first, you know, because I think clients remember the time when they could relamp fixtures themselves with an electrician, and they miss it. So do we, honestly. So this is something that we helped develop. It's an MR size 16 module because they had MR size, basically because of the size of the fixtures that existed already. They wanted to be able to relamp. They knew that they needed to keep the space intact for another round, another couple of years. So this is something that we could help do. And to make sure that it stayed flexible, we made sure that there was an interchangeable lens, which is not something you can do in a lamp, right? Especially with MR16s. You can swap that out easily. It's just a single piece. You can reuse it between replacements, so the plastic is not disposable at all, disposed of. We've got a huge heatsink on the back of it, which means we can maintain color quality over a longer period of time. The COB module is replaceable as well, right? So this was a wonderful drop-in thing that we could do, and ultimately, there are fewer things to replace when things break. So that's a huge sustainable move. So again, they want simpler things, not more complex objects. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about on this is the traceability in the supply chain. So pretty much all of the high-end retail clients expect that all of the factories be audited. And that includes not just environmental issues, but societal issues, labor laws. All of these things need to be in compliance. And for us, like as lighting designers and specifiers, it's really good to actually know the factories, to actually understand and make those relationships that go into observing and understanding this traceable supply chain, right? Because we have to ask our suppliers, did you do this? And if not, okay, well, we need to work with our clients to make sure that they're in compliance. And that builds a lot of really good relationships. So that's another important aspect of this green regulation, improving all of us as an industry. We're coming together and we're making the whole environment better for humans, not just in terms of a green ideal. Okay, so quick summary of the design trends because this all comes together. So at the beginning we talked about the codes having lower LPD. Well, the only way we can get to those lower LPDs is by just putting in less light. So where do we take the light out? Well, we usually take it out of circulation, and that lets us get in. If you're leaving the merchandising alone, more or less, that gives you much more contrast, right? So when you start talking about more contrast, especially when you're reviewing and taking a look at merchandising, the clients like that because there's improved, more appropriate focus. It's better design. Again, because now we're putting in dimming as part of the compliance to get our LPD allowances, we can do much larger shifts, darker and evening work. So again, all of the things that were going into offices now can be done in retail design, and they understand that that's a good thing. Again, talking about removing wattage overall, we do that by just putting in fewer fixtures. We don't need all of these glowing sheets, as much decorative work as we did before, by really carefully working with the interior designer early on. And then by designing interiors with less general lighting is paying dividends. We can actually get our wattage low enough that we can invest in higher CRI, higher quality fixtures. So we're spending our watts in different places, and they want to see those watts spent in higher CRI, much more higher quality lights, fixtures with better glare control. So we can definitely focus things and improve it overall. And then lastly, more flexible fixtures, like I talked about before. So this is a case study that we did. It is a unnamed retail brand, but they're quite famous for some really bright interior spaces. For this particular one, you can see there is a lot of light sheet, but one of the great things about this particular space is, of course, that even though we've got what looks like a really bright interior, Because we've got a fully enclosed retail environment, we can control the brightness inside the space. So by blocking out the outside light completely, we can then do more interesting things in terms of contrast with the interior spaces that we have. We're not fighting sunlight, and we're not fighting the corridor or the mall in circulation. So we worked really carefully to make sure that all of the merchandise is really well balanced, or what we were able to do with the light sheet behind, we were able to focus less on the front of the merchandise and just allow the outline to be a part of the merchandising story. And again, here we've got this merchandise that's silhouetted by the light sheets in the back that lets people grab them and then bring them to the table for inspection. So this is an earlier concept where we were able to take these bright light sheets and lots of interior space lighting, dim them down, reduce the wattage. There is no dimming control in this space. It's all just straight on. And then change the guest's behavior because of that. Now I want to contrast this with same shop, similar interior design concept, but instead of having the light sheets and a mirrored ceiling and a textured floor, we've got dark everywhere except for the boxes. So this is a case where we were able to take the graphic concept of the space, work with the interior designer, and know that, okay, we don't have the budget in this location to have light sheets everywhere. We have to count them in this venue. It's like, okay, well, now we are talking with the interior designer at the very beginning about material choices, brightness, and contrast. And that allows us to really keep this feeling of the brand consistent, but at the same time, really reducing the overall illumination significantly. I'll have a few numbers in a bit. But as you can see, the overall framework is still intact. We kept the brand. So, quick summary: merchandise shelf, luminous panels everywhere. The display lighting had to be bright to balance the backlight and avoid silhouettes and narrow angles. But where that happened, we still embraced it. We've got a mirror ceiling, so that makes downlighting pretty challenging. But we, to make sure that it wasn't things weren't happening too much, we were able to keep the floor brightness high, which we had to do. It was quite bright overall, everything being said. And then we ended up choosing CRI 90 to get the higher efficacy. We didn't go as high as CRI 95, but because there was so much light in the space, it was a good trade-off. On the flip side, again, we used surround lightings. We had dark walls, dark floors. Nothing was competing with the merchandise. It was all in the front. We were able to do half the overall illumination on the floors. Because it's dark, it doesn't really matter. We could really focus on the merchandise. We had really great contrast. We could spend the wattage on higher CRI, and really get the project across in the end. So, quick summary. This is not about just getting higher efficacy. It's not just simple, just pure technological solutions here. And it's not just about simply reducing the amount of light overall. It's about working with the interior designers, working with the brand partners, really working together as a team to make sure that we're all understanding each other and coming together for an end goal. So, thank you very much. That's my summary of the trends today in retail.
Thank you, Mr. Norman. So now we are open the floor for questions. Please scan the QR code at the back of each rows of chair or scan the QR code on the screen to submit your questions. Okay, we have gathered questions from audience.
Sure.
Yeah. So Asia is actually a very full of density populated cities like Hong Kong. And then would it make any differences for your sustainability lighting design?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, so Hong Kong is a very density populated city.
Yes.
And then would it be any difficulties or any difference for your sustainable lighting design?
in terms of like population density, in terms of retail, no, I don't think so. I mean, everything that we've talked about here is sort of implemented on like a shop-by-shop basis in terms of retail. I think overall, what we'd like to see, especially in terms of like shopping areas with like high population density, would be better conversations or better guidelines set up by the landlords so that shops aren't blasting light out into a common area. So I think in places like this where you can have shopping malls because of the high population density, there's I think a lot more savings to be had in that kind of environment. So.
Right. So any other questions from the floor? Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Norman.
Thank you very much.